Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call tonight's Boardwalk Community Oversight Committee meeting to order. The first order of business is the agenda. Any additions or changes to the agenda? So now we need a motion to adopt the agenda. Steph. Motion to adopt the agenda. All those in favor? Trevor.
Sorry guys, I'm just booting back to my office right now. Yes, I'm in favor. I'll be on camera shortly.
Are you going to be able to take minutes, Trevor?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so adoption of the agenda is approved unanimously. Brings us to 2.1 or 2.0 adoption meeting minutes, 2.1 BBOC meeting minutes from June 10th and the special BBOC meeting of July 17th. Any errors or omissions? If not, we need a motion to accept. Beth, motion to accept meeting minutes for June 10th and July 17th. All those in favor? Yeah. Oh, okay, so that's carried unanimously. I'm assuming Trevor agreed to. Okay, and so that brings us to 3.0 information items. 3.1 West Area Structure Plan increase to administration.
You guys may recall that we have requested a while ago for some information on the area structure plan. So in his very few months here, Trent has taken some time to scour through that to make a presentation for you guys today.
Yeah, well, it's not really a presentation, more of a demonstration or just here to answer your questions. I hope to be have it as a back and forth and just try and answer your question. What I did was, I think the best way to try and answer your questions.
Trent, before you get started, you have to press share on the Zoom first so that those on Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, so the green button at the bottom.
Oh, and then I can just share
the one with
that
the blur. Yeah. And so we can
Okay.
see it and drag it over.
Oh.
Bill, can you guys see the map on the screen?
I see a bike background.
So is
Okay.
that is
Let me share the other one. There.
Yeah.
How's that? Okay.
There we go. Perfect.
All right. So this is the town's system called MuniSite. There is even a open portal on the town's website where you can view this yourself. Although on the open portal, it might not show all the same information. So here we have Maxwell Lake. The trails are on the map. And so the question was around the area structure plan. And I'm going to turn that both on and off as we talk about it. So the West Area Structure Plan looks like that as it fills in. And you can see that it goes right over the whole boardwalk area and covers. And that's because when they decide the area that it's going to cover, they cover the whole area, even if they have no plans to ever develop any area. An area structure plan is a very high level document. The purpose of an area structure plan is to tell property owners and the community, hey, as we develop, this is what we're going to allow in these general areas. And then as people bring their plans forward, if it doesn't, there's certain things that we'll just issue development permits for because it falls in line. And then there's also other ones where they would come to council because the plan envisioned it but also required it to come to council. So some developments come to councils, some are approved by the development office. But in either case, it's just a high level planning document. All those developments, as they come forward, still have to meet other requirements, both federally, provincially, and within the town. And that's also something important to keep in mind, is that the different levels of government have different responsibility. Development is certainly the town's responsibility, but environment is the province's responsibility. So anything in terms of environmental permits or environmental studies, that would be the province to put those conditions on as part of getting permits. So if you can keep these areas in mind, the light yellow is essentially residential, and the light green is areas that will stay green space. But this actually looks like it would get a lot closer than it actually would, because the other thing I want to show you is, as I turn this off, just because we have a hierarchy plan saying what we would allow or not allow, in order for development to happen, people have to own the land. If they don't own the land, chances of development occurring are pretty slim. So when I look at this whole quarter section here, that as it lights up in green, is all crown land. So the chances of any development happening on that is almost next to none. As I go down here, this is also crown land. So the chances of development on that is also pretty slim. As you go here, this is the town of Hinton's land, and it's actually designated as green space as it's zoning, and it's where Happy Creek goes down. So the town's never going to develop that. You know, there might be a utility installation or a crossing or something like that, but there's not going to be development of that. This small little piece here also belongs to the town of Hinton, and it's too small to develop. Again, that would only be useful for getting utilities across. Other than that, it would stay undeveloped. And then this is the first property that is actually owned by somebody else. So the first developments that could occur are this parcel of land and then this parcel of land. So those are private lands. Those could get developed. At the stage when they want to develop, they have to bring us a number of plans over the course of it. First, they would have to bring in a subdivision plan, which would have a whole review process and a bunch of requirements. And then after they get the subdivision plan approved, then they would have to get individual development permits for every single thing they want to build. So at each of those stages, you hone down into the requirements that you want to build. And so when we also have a provincial layer here of wetlands. The wetlands don't go onto the private lands. So those wetlands there should stay protected. If we wanted to do anything within the wetland areas, we would need permits. Same type of permits that you need for doing your boardwalk construction, where they basically make you have to prove that you're looking after the environment, or you pay compensation, or whatever it is that you work out with the provincial government, because that's their role. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to show you, just the land ownership, what the area structure plan covers, where the wetlands are mapped on here, and now I could take any specific questions.
Any questions or comments?
Are these layers like if we go on this town website, I forgot what it's called.
Yeah.
Are they, would we be able to pull up like the wetland layers and?
Yes, the only thing that I'm showing you today that you might not be able to view yourself is landowner names and tax information.
But then that's not necessary.
Yeah, but the rest of it would be there.
Sorry, what was the name of the?
Well, if I just go to the.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on the main screen for the website here, you go map and GIS.
Okay.
And then the interactive GIS map, and it's right there.
Oh, easy, easy. Yeah. Okay, thanks. I have another question.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. The golf course, all of those, ponds, are also in the area structure plan, and they all have long-term salamanders. And long-term salamanders, species of national concern in, Alberta. And the first 250 meters adjacent to these ponds, like most of the time, the adults spend away from the ponds in that first 250 meters, and then the pausing is for breathing. So what kind of consideration would this structure plan have for maintaining these salamanders?
So so you're talking on the
Well,
golf course itself?
Well, yeah, Maxwell Lake and around the Beaver Pond as well, but that seems like a lot of that is crown land, like you said, and it would be unlikely to develop it. But every one of those little ponds on the golf course, except the old one where someone put in one of those predatory fish and they eat all the salamanders. They all have salamanders in them. So, but like I find when, like, if somebody wants to develop something, by the time they spend a whole lot of money on planning and everything, it's likely gonna go ahead one way or the other. So how is the town gonna deal with those ponds and adjacent habitat?
The town doesn't look after environment. What we do is we ask the questions to make sure that people have got what they need from the province in terms of permits. But the town does not create any environmental laws, nor do we have to do any environmental enforcement. If someone contacted us with an environmental concern, we would either tell them to contact the province or we would contact the province for them. That would be our response to any environmental concerns. Now, through the development process, if we would make sure people are, we would ask the questions to make them prove they're meeting the provincial responsibility. So if there was a wetland and we knew about it, we would say, hey, where's your permit for the wetland before issuing the development permit. But in terms of getting that permit, we would have no back and forth. And in terms of the, what people do on their own private land, part of what makes a good economy thrive is that you don't put restrictions on people's private lands. The property laws help drive an economy because people know what they can build or the rules around it, and so when they make plans, they know the hurdles they're going to have to jump over, and if they get there, they know they can build, and they didn't waste their upfront money in terms of all their planning. So we can't make up new hurdles for them. All we can do is just make sure that they're following the rules, and once the property has been sold and it's private lands, it's theirs to do within our rules, and so I don't think that we would impose any additional requirements on those. I mean, the golf course lands themselves, well, they belong to the town of Hinton. So I mean, we can certainly hear concerns and ask the right questions because that's our land. But in terms of the private lands, we wouldn't be able to do that, or not as much. All we can do is make sure they follow the rules.
Okay, so, well, then the town of Hinton land is interesting, because that's where most of these ponds are, on the golf course. I was no surprise that there's so much residential development on it. Like, how the golf course people feel about that, because a lot of them will just like disappear. Well, why are we ruining our golf course? Is there another place to put residential people? Like,
So. It's hard to explain the process. It's a really, really high level overview planning document. It doesn't mean that's designated. For that to go from where it is now to be as green space to residential construction, there's dozen steps, and part of that dozen steps is a whole bunch of diligence to satisfy the provincial government before the provincial government will even sign off. So as Mr. McLaughlin said, the province has to sign off before the town will even consider giving a development permit. And a bunch of the requirements for that are things like archaeological survey. I don't know what there is for wildlife survey, but I know there is. There has.
Yes, there are wildlife biologies.
There's certain areas in the province, there's provincial maps, and if your area is designated on any of these maps, then it triggers you having to do the studies, like, you know, the archaeology one that you mentioned. You can go on the provincial website and see which areas of the province are highlighted as moderate and high risk, and if you're in those areas, then you need to get the study done. If you're in the low risk area, then they won't require it, and so that's part of getting all your permits in place to do something. I think you were trying to go from the planning study to the proposed par 999 development. Is I think what you were getting at when you're talking about the golf course, right?
sorry, what line, like?
Par 999. Yeah.
Oh, that was.
That's referring to the yellow sections on the map.
That one actually doesn't.
Okay, then.
Like, it's not, I did a map, it's.
So when I turn back on this West Area Structure Plan, you can see that the entire golf course is left green. Except for this tiny little spot here which would be residential. So the green is gonna stay green.
Trent, is the yellow there inside, is that, oh, no, is that Falco's?
No, that's still within town.
Okay,
And I mean, without pulling it, you know, reading in depth, I'm not sure why that little piece got zoned differently. But the bulk of the golf course is still very much staying green, which means the intent is to leave it. In fact, the dark green in the thematics is actually labeled golf course. So the intention is to always leave it a golf course.
You know, one of the other concerns that you mentioned was that residential development adjacent to the golf course or on the golf course. Part of that process is the public hearing process, which is a mandatory process when there's a subdivision application made. That there needs to be public hearings where people that are affected by the potential development get to come and voice their concerns and submit letters and submit documentation. And those are all put into consideration through the development process as well.
And when concerns are brought forward, sometimes they result in nothing. Sometimes they result in additional requirements, but the development still goes ahead. And sometimes it results in the development doesn't get to go ahead. I've seen all of those outcomes.
And a good example of that with the golf course is when Qualico bought a portion of the golf course to turn it into residential subdivision. Part of the requirement was that they had to replace everything that they were taking up with residential development in like, so they took over some holes in the driving range. They had to rebuild replacement holes and replacement driving.
And in that instance, it was the town as part of the development permit process that required them to replace whatever it was they were displaced. Is that town or was that?
I believe it was from the condition of development permit, yes, I believe so, but it was through negotiation with the golf course and Qualico. Yeah. Town was the seller of the land. Trevor?
I mean, this is getting a little far away from the Beaver Boardwalk at this point, but just curious, with the proposed development on the golf course now, is the West Area Structure Plan being updated in the near future, I guess?
My understanding is that the area structure plan was updated for what they needed, and that happened back a while ago, so I don't think that they need any more updates. That is the one step that they got completed was the change to the area structure plan.
I believe so.
Thanks, Trent.
Any other questions for Trent?
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you. Appreciate you coming out.
Just the stop share button on the bottom, Trent. Yeah.
Thanks. That brings us to information item 3.02, VDOC membership terms.
Okay, so for this one, you guys will recall that in the terms of reference, your committee membership is 2 years. This committee gets a little bit of a longer term, just for this cycle because we appointed in June. So we're just gonna continue through till the organizational meeting. So for those of you that want to reapply, the notices should be coming out from the communication very, very soon. So you will go through the same application process as in the past. You're not required to, you can if you want. The only exception to that is Bill, because Bill, you came on later, so I will get your very specific date from the communications team, and we'll just make sure we keep that logged and keep an eye on it through next year. And then those of you that have already mentioned, you know, that you won't be back next year, you just don't have to do anything. So come September, or wait, this meeting, October?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, so come October, for the November meeting, you won't have to attend. So if you're not reapplying, come November, you're all good. You get to walk away if you choose to. Questions?
Questions? No? Okay. See any questions? You're good?
Yep, that's all.
That brings us to discussion items 4.1, FRIA requirement boardwalk design public engagement.
In our application that we submitted, we talked about doing some public engagement. This committee serves as the public engagement. Each of you have an area that you represent. You gotta go out, you gotta talk to some people. However, we think it would be prudent to make sure that we actually put a copy of a drawing out in front of people. So we had originally said that AE, our environmental consultants, were gonna lead that. I don't wanna wait on their timelines, so I'm prepared to move ahead with that. I'm just wondering if there's a date. I'd like to get it pretty soon. We have everything we need. It's just literally I already talked to communications. They just need to put together some boards for us. If we want to do like an open house stuff. We currently have a lot of engagement surveys out for things like budget right now. So I really feel that it would be best for us to do like an open house here or potentially at the boardwalk if it's nice. So the date that Chad and I we're looking at. Is anywhere from like the 5th to the 8th of September. Admin will move ahead and do it. I just thought I would consult with you guys if any of you really wanted to be there. So just looking for a date.
Maybe any thoughts, comments, questions about the public engagement for Boardwalk design?
In relation to the 3 grand?
Well, on the project, so they want to make sure that we've done enough community engagement. And so I prepared a list of everything that we've done since 2020. We haven't done anything that's not a video session in a really long time. So I just thought we might as well take that step and just really get that checkbox to satisfy their requirement.
So because the town is the applicant for the 3 grant, the town is hosting public engagement regardless, but you're looking for
Yes.
feedback from the committee about venue,
Yeah.
practice, component. Yeah,
Like, is,
so Beth and then,
sorry, is it?
Sharks.
okay, I lost it here. So Beth and then Jan and then Trevor, sorry.
I just, why are we finding out about this now? Wasn't after your application meeting?
It was submitted in the application and we put dates in there, right? So now I don't want to wait for AE to potentially not be available on the dates we selected last whenever. So I'm prepared to move ahead. I just want to know if you guys have a preferred date. Like availability wise. I think it would be reasonable to expect that the Beaver Boardwalk committee members, as many of them as can make it, would be there for that engagement. Given that that is a large mechanism of the committee itself.
What day is the 5th?
The 5th is a Tuesday because the 4th is a holiday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, I would stay away from the 8th only because people don't really show up for stuff on a Friday evening or at lunch, so.
What's being presented?
So ultimately, we just need to, so today we're gonna go reconfirm all the widths that we put in. So we'll have that there for them as well as the drawing that we submitted. So I'll just have that blown out big so that we can speak to it, and then any of our like maintenance questions. Ideally, that's why I really wanted AE there, so that if there are like those environmental questions, they'd be able to support. But if they aren't able to make the date that we choose, then we can find out a way around that, bringing them in remotely or potentially submitting the questions, then doing a public release of the answers.
And just to clarify, A is associated engineering, right?
But on the environmental side, yes, that's right.
But
Not
it's associated, yeah, it's not
Yeah.
under environment, it's associated engineering.
But same thing all that we've had since.
So,
So just Trevor and then Trevor.
Two quick things. I think the open house idea is a good idea. Those dates you mentioned, September 5th to 8th, that's in the first week of school opening, so it's usually a pretty chaotic week, just in my schedule alone. I'm assuming lots of parents are in the same boat. Second item, if those online engagements with like the budget and the trails got a lot of positive feedback and engagement, would that be a good way to present this data
We
versus
absolutely,
an open house, say?
we absolutely could do it online. We could even do both, right? I just know that this time of year, we get a lot of what we call survey fatigue, right? People are just over it. So potentially doing something outside or in a building is a little bit different. But both would hit all the bases.
Thanks, Trevor.
so this public engagement input, how would that affect the actual application?
So Brianna needs to make sure that the town has done enough to ensure that by them supporting the project, you know, the town did engage and follow its engagement policy with the public, which is required by the province. So they're just looking to make sure that we don't have any adamant disagreement to fixing the problem.
All right, anything else, committee? More thoughts about methodology or dates? Just throwing out there, maybe both would be a consideration.
It is just a discussion item, so if there's no preference really, like I said, admin has to do this anyways. I just thought I'd ask if you guys have a preferred date.
Like,
Yeah, go ahead.
what is the kind of input you're looking for the public, just like simple view, update, preparing the boardwalk or not, like.
Yeah, very simple, because ultimately you guys are kind of that liaison between the public, which you guys went out in the future talking to people, we've had other engagements, we've done other surveys about the trail or the boardwalk network, and we use that information to build our witness, right? So now we're going to the public saying, this is what we've come up with. Before we get everything done and sent off, the money comes, do we have we done enough, right? And so they just, it's literally a checkbox. But it is super important to also hear if there are any major concerns, people who are truly opposed to it, right? I haven't seen anything come in through our channels, so I don't think that'll be the case, but that's why we do things.
It's getting out of hand maybe, so I would speak, and sorry if this is additional work for you, but I would really prefer both an online survey and an open house. When there's an open house and people can't make it, we always get the question,
Yeah.
well, why wasn't there another venue that we could participate in? So then we miss the open house and can say, it's an online survey, miss that too. Yeah.
So will this open house speak to the 3A grant?
That we apply for it.
And how much will be told?
That we have an open application. That this is what we've applied on. You guys think. And that we're ready to move on this pretty quickly after we compile that feedback.
Will they be told financial?
Like if
Yes,
it's
we
in the
can.
dollar value.
If I was someone coming to see all this, I'd be like, wow.
Yeah,
How
so
much
they'll
is that
get,
gonna cost?
they'll get, so you'll remember we submitted with our application 2 prices, right? For kind of, I think it was 3.7 and then like a higher amount. So through that, we can say this is what could be accomplished, but we know, like, we can't share at this point, what dollars would come exactly from FRIA, but we can tell them that none of this is taxpayer dollars. It's all gonna be, of what we're putting forward is grant funded, because that's how much it comes from.
Great, committee, any other thoughts? Any recommendation for a date, references?
I would go with what Trevor said, that first week in September seemed like a bad idea, and I would second also would help instead of being voted.
I have a question, is there any time constraint that it could be the next week?
Well, the time constraint is that I have vacation on the 11th, but I wanted to get the RFP out right after the engagement is done. So that's kind of what I'm up against. Like it's ready to go, I'm just waiting on a last meeting with AE. We could engage with the RFP out, but that would that's almost just darn it. It is written in such a way that we could. It is written in such a way that we are open to engagement or not engagement, negotiation with the contractor after the fact. We could make changes, but I don't think that's an earnest representation of the public.
I agree. Okay, so that pretty much limits it to that week then. So,
Yeah, if you guys want me there, then it has to be that week. I would say if AE can fit in those days that we have, potentially they could be there and then I would need to, they would answer most of the stuff that I just kind of absorb from them. So if you guys are super adamant that you don't want it to be that week of the 4th, there is right before school, cause I get it ready, you get back on the 29th. We could do the 31st, I could probably get it ready for then, of August. Be a little bit up a week before school, at least then people would be here, maybe.
Maybe.
I would be-
I don't have school age kids, but I know when I did, that week was not good.
Right, yeah, you got
It
the
was
first
probably
slides.
better actually once they were back in
Mhm.
school, but that's just me. Very on.
This is the town of Hinton, so I go by your schedule.
I do confer somewhat. It's a town open house for town application. So, yeah, I was kind of hoping the committee would have some thoughts of what days would work for them so that we could be able to participate. If there isn't really any adamant feeling for what date it should or shouldn't be, I guess we can leave it to your discretion.
Is there any, like, other engagements we've done? We set them up on 2 days. Do we feel like, I feel like we have done a significant amount of engagement already. I don't know that 2 days is really necessary. Yeah, just my side thoughts.
Did you have any thoughts about what day it might be? In the absence of,
I wouldn't do it on Friday.
No, yeah, not a Friday,
maybe like, not Tuesday either, probably wouldn't be.
because it's probably, yeah, so Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. And usually we start them around like 4 o'clock, right, and we go till into the evening, so. At least if we do it Thursday, that time, at least kind of aligns with when committee members are usually available any other week, so. I could do Thursday, as long as communication's available.
Okay, so that's kind of the tentative, it was
Yeah.
Thursday the 7th, I think, that right?
Yeah.
Trevor?
Yeah, if we receive any feedback, will that be enough time to make the changes before you head off on holidays?
Yeah, I really don't expect that there will be substantial changes. If there are and they require a motion from the committee, I'll simply reach out to Councillor Stash and ask that we convene electronically for a special meeting. I don't want to publicize this, but I am gonna take my computer with me.
Oh, don't do that.
Put it out there, so, yeah. It's ready, it's literally like press the publish button if there's any changes, and I really don't think there's gonna be none that would be substantial.
No,
Okay.
it's important that RFP is stuff that's been vetted through this group. All
Exactly.
The layout of it and the fact that where we consider there are no duplicated sections, so all the sections are still in the boardwalk lids, which we're gonna confirm again today, all that stuff's coming through this group already. Yeah, so hopefully there isn't too much that the public's in opposition, because we're supposed to be here.
I think it's really if they come out of the woodworks, like I said, Rhea's looking for, is there any really significant opposition, right? And then if somebody comes out of the woodwork with new information or a wild idea that we haven't heard, that's really what I'm thinking are the only triggers to call us together.
All right, anything else from the boardwalk design public engagement before we move on then? Okay, seeing nothing from committee, we'll move on to action items 5.1 North Ramp Solution.
So we heard a couple meetings ago and Chad sent his guys out and put some eyes on the ramp on the north side. So the team's out there currently working away on the temporary solution on the south side. The north, Chad has a solution for and costed. So we're going to share that now and the motion from the committee.
So, for that north side, I wanted to look at it personally and check it out, so I went out with Dennis. Those timbers that they use for that ramp are a lot beefier than the ones that basically everywhere else. It can be lifted and we can extend it much like we're doing on the south side of the ramp. We could do two and a half sections. It would probably cost around $1,000. That's kind of what I came up with. It's not, it's a temporary, somewhat permanent solution, much like, G and S. So,
So much like the south.
yeah, it would be a similar kind of thing. It would look a lot alike,
And does
it would look a lot like they have, because that, when you come down from, that picnic area, kind of just down from, there's kind of a slope down, and then it kind of tables off, and that's where the flooding happened. I mean, it's the low spot. So we lifted, a good 10, 12 inches, probably in solid issue.
and we. Yep, the town has money for it. And I'd like to put a motion that we approve the plan in the last.
Did you get that, Trevor?
No, you're a little muffled, Jan. Could you repeat that, please?
Word of motion that we approve the town's plan for the extension of the north end ramp.
Bill, Joan, you heard that, okay? Yeah, okay. Okay.
Motion,
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Trevor.
motion to approve town's plan for extension of north end ramp.
Yep. Okay, yeah, and then Bill,
How far, like you're trying to like connect the end of the ramp to the ground that isn't flooding, what is the distance?
Well, section, so I was saying that's at 2 sections.
And that would come,
Before 2, and then a half.
so would that sort of come off at an angle?
Yeah, because there's kind of a corner there.
Yeah.
It was a little curve. It would just follow the gravel trail that exists there now.
Bill? I think you're muted, Bill. We still can't hear you. I'm not sure what's going on. It's not muted on our end, is it?
No. Check that. I can, so he's unmuted, so it seems
Can you hear
like,
me now?
There you go. Yep. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can hear you.
I can't hear anything. I can't hear anything and my phone's up as loud as it can go.
we can hear you.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, my phone's as loud as it can go for some reason. Something's going on. Anyway, I thought that place with that north end would be done already. I'm really surprised it's not. But yeah, if I was gonna vote for getting it done if it's not finished yet or haven't been approved.
Well, this is the first time we talked about the north end.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything.
Any other comments or questions? No, Beth? Yeah.
We'll answer, how wide is this going to?
I was gonna.
I'm not hearing anything on this.
Could you hear us before, Bill? Could you hear us before?
No.
Yeah.
What's our votes?
Yeah.
It is.
Heard now?
And there's frozen.
Can you hear us?
There.
Can you hear us, Bill? Thumbs up? I think that's a yes.
Okay, so, the width, yeah, we were gonna probably carry that on, and maybe taper it in, because that trail does thin out, to the 1.5.
1.8.
1.8 to 1.5.
That's 2 meters. I measured it.
Okay.
like to meetings.
Wider back.
Not really.
Yeah, okay, but that, it's done, you're past that.
Yeah, that's done. I mean, that was just a question.
All right, any other comments, question then, before we call the motion question? Okay. Seeing no comments or questions, all those in favor? Okay, that is carried unanimously, all right. Anything further from committee on the North Ramp solution? Trevor? No, okay. Admin, you guys are good with North Ramp solution? Okay. 5.2 confirmation of boardwalk widths RFP.
So before the RFP gets sent out, this is an excerpt of how we inform the contractors what they're building. So, these all came from, pre-existing motions, so I compiled all the motions that we had. So I just want to make sure this is what we wanted to do. And then I did have, well, we can answer that question because that section is the north section.
I just activated my principal summary, just looked at the actual, the site paper tonight, but on July 13, 2022, for section BBCTWX, we actually made motion to make these 1.5 meters, not 1.8 meters. So why are we having widths of 1.8 on this too?
That is an excellent question. I'm wondering if I copied from the chart.
Yeah.
So which ones are those that I will highlight them and I'll.
BB, well, C, BB, G, W, X.
CC.
So C is the one on the east going connect, the major connection.
Yes.
Well, that one.
And then from the Sutherland entrance over around the Beaver Pond to connectivity trail, that's BB, X, W, and T.
Something must have got, yeah, my items right, I would have pointed that out. I noticed it too, we definitely should know he was holding.
Oh, I think.
Actually,
I'm just gonna write it down and I'll double check. What
like
document we're
most of the ones that you have is one.
So, but we did public, okay, how about this, we said AA 128, I just wanna make sure that I pulled the right chart. So we,
Do you need that? We could recess for a few minutes. Do you need-
no, I wanna write it down, cause I'll have to go find the document.
Okay.
BB,
BB.
in order, it would be BB, X, W, T. And that joins everything to the Sutherland entrance and the main trail. And then C, which is the east end of that, so, which is this.
Or is well, they've given letters to the,
And then GG, which is south side.
yeah, they've given some letters to the.
Well, cause we were allowed. So GG.
But I mean, we're basically talking about the main thoroughfare.
Yeah, around
Yeah.
Oh,
So you're saying on July 13th?
July 13, 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and we discussed that, and, the implication was, other than these main trails, that the rest would stay at 1.2.
I'm gonna vote for the 1.5.
I'm not.
Well, they were all
They
voted on.
were all
we're
voted
getting
on, I
consent-
just wrong,
we're transcribed. No.
incorrect, yeah.
Yeah, these already went through vetting process.
Yeah, so these have all been in motion, well, if it should be the, this is in action.
Yeah.
Here's me. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm gonna update this chart, and because it all comes from motions, Councilor Stashik, would it be acceptable? I don't know if we'll have. would it be acceptable to, because all these have been, had motions before, if I send the chart around for a double look from everyone, once I put 1.5 in, is that okay, or should I now wait until?
Well, what did you want from committee today regarding this?
I did kind of just want a motion saying they're accepting it. Which I guess we can't do.
Excuse me, I don't think we should. Am I right to say that wherever it says 1.8, it should say 1.5?
Well, I'll even GG and. What's the other section? Is that the only one for me?
AA, no, so AA, oh, and I didn't include this, so section AA was, 1.8 with bump outs, right? Cause you guys said you wanted two, up to 1.5 with bump outs. From benches so that people could cross each other, right? And so that has like, that's why it has asterisks, because those two sections have notes, like in the RFP, so for example, with GG, we built a temporary solution. But we don't want the contractor to just toss that, right? So I put some stipulations in there around what happens with it.
Okay, but outside of those two, then all the other 1.8s should be 1.5, I
I
think,
think so, yeah.
but I think.
So I would agree, and I would still go on to vote.
Okay, and then just say with it amended to 1.5 except AA and GG.
I think that's fine, and then we can deal with it.
Okay.
As long as we can re-vote on 1.2s.
So it's not the already been through the process.
It's not such a fun, it's such a fun committee, it's actually not, but that is very, yeah.
So. Okay, so just to clarify what we're gonna do then, section 8A on that table will remain at 1.8. Section GG on that table will remain at 1.8. All the other ones that say 1.8 will be changed to 1.5. And then that should reflect everything that went through motion and discussion and vote previously through the process. Any questions about that? Sorry about the confusion. Yeah.
I just wouldn't mind, knowing where, I'll have to go and look at the motions again, but for section, like, where we agreed 1.5 for section B, E, U and D, like, I wouldn't mind, because I know on July 13th, we did pass motions on E, B, C, T, W, X, but I wouldn't mind knowing where we passed motions on the other.
Okay, I'll
Just as record keeping.
Okay, so what we'll do, we'll vote on the amended table today. And if you go back and look and find that there's any inconsistencies with what we're voting on, then we'll have to deal with it. If you do. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because those are definitely. We never put those up.
So there are some that should be 1.2 as well.
Yeah.
And then, okay. All right, I'm not sure what to do with this now. That's too much changes. Yeah,
I mean, I know you don't love doing stuff outside of meetings, but let's get things done. And I would totally agree with her revamping the table and us making a decision via email. And that email can be stored just like this recorded conversation. Or we have if need be, we have a special meeting. But let's not hold this up.
yeah, it would have to be a special meeting, unfortunately, the procedure bylaw and the committee's bylaws. It has to be recorded by a full meeting. But it could be a special meeting.
And it could be a special meeting online.
Yeah, it could be a special Zoom meeting like we did for the one that we had to have a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, as long as we can pick a date right now, then, because like I can go back to my desk and do this tomorrow. right? It's all of 8 minutes.
I think it's pretty easy to accommodate an online meeting.
I'd like to look forward to the motion, can we vote, can we decide on Monday?
Monday works for me.
On this, come back to a special meeting on Monday.
Does it need to be like 6:30 for everybody? Maybe like 4?
Something like
So
Whatever
Monday at
works-
4
whatever
o'clock.
works for you. Yeah, whatever works for you. And most of those.
Okay,
Monday is really full until 3 o'clock, so anytime after 3. Oh, but you're good.
Bill, Trevor, Joan, Monday, 4 o'clock, does that work for you guys?
I can make it work.
Yeah, I might be a little late though. 4:30 is when I get off of work.
4:30?
4:30.
4:30?
4:35?
It's not an option.
Nobody does finish work at 4:30.
Yeah.
I mean. He can do it in his car.
Okay, well, we'll shoot for 4:30 Monday,
Yeah.
and there'll be a meeting invitation will go out, so
Yeah.
the other members know about it too. Okay, and that'll be the only item on the special meeting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll rely on you to send out an agenda and, when you need a motion to move this to the special meeting on Monday, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Trevor, you captured that motion?
Motion to move this item to Monday at 4:30.
That's agenda item 5.2, confirmation of boardwalk bids. Okay, any comments or questions on the motion? Okay, seeing nothing, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Okay, that's carried unanimously, so we will schedule a special meeting for Monday, 4:30. I don't know what that date is. This coming Monday at 4:30. For confirmation of Beaver Boardwalk bids. Okay. Moving on then.
5.3 was just if they wanted to do an action item out of the engagement, I put a spot in there for it, but. we can- it's not-
Okay. Everyone's clear on that. That was a placeholder for. Looking back to 4.1, if there was any recommendations regarding the boardwalk design engagement, this is where we would fit, so. Before we move on, anybody want to move anything for that? Okay, so we'll move on then, 6.0 round table. Anybody want to volunteer to start?
Am I allowed?
Sure.
Okay, did everybody get their SharePoint notification? You already got yours.
Mhm.
So what's gonna happen is I had Heather Mark look into the issue, so because you guys are on the outside of the organization, it did like some security wall stuff. So you may not have received an email, check your junk side and your inbox. If you did not get one, please email me because I have to send you a special link, it has something to do with like the email that you've chosen. And that will give you access in, and it may ask you like to accept, and then it'll send me an email saying, did you mean to send this to Jan?
Roseanne, I'm getting your phone call.
Oh. Right, and then I'll know that you've gotten in, because on my side, it'll turn from your email to like your actual name. So if you go home tonight and you did not get an invite in your inbox or in your junk mail, and it should be from myself or Heather Mark or SharePoint itself. If you did not get those, please email me and I'll send you the very specific like link that you need to get in. Okay? That's all.
And this invite is for,
The sharing space that you guys directed me to create a little while ago, but we ran into the meeting, the meeting, and then, yeah, so I fixed all the security stuff and you guys should be able to get in there. you have any troubles, let me know.
Okay, any other questions about that? Anything else you wanna share? Oh, okay. Since we started with the admin, Chad?
Well, sorry, I guess I knew. We did finish that, one section, by the bridge, it was great. So they moved on to the south side, they're working on that, and they're looking at a no less than 2 weeks. Hopefully pretty close to the end of next week, it should be pretty close to that.
That's the round.
Yeah.
Extension? Yeah. It's like, yeah. So before the end of the month, it'll be done?
I hope so, yeah.
And that's great, awesome. Good, that's good news, lots of people will be excited to hear that. Good. Done, thanks, Chad, anything else?
That's it.
Wanna go?
Yeah, the Chad, what you've done so far looks great, and, just want to give you some good feedback. Then I did send her email around with pictures of a linear assembly that was found in the, which actually was not in. This is a rare plant, and, we're having, we, like the Whiskey Jack Club have a plant making course in June, and one more we spent on Boardwalk and, he's coming back, our instructors and PhD from USA. In a couple of weekends we will be making, curated plant lists for the whole Beaver Boardwalk area. So we've got a bird list, which, I just need to check through the birds before it's complete. But, we thought we'd be working on a plant list now. And this is pretty exciting news, this little sun. It's a carnivorous plant which captures insects and slowly digests the insides and just leaves the skeleton, so. Yeah. Yeah, so. Anyway, I thought I'd just share that again. Awesome.
Oh, yeah,
Great, thanks, Beth. Ron, anything?
That was actually, it's right in the fen, right near the rare landscape. So if you skip to the next photo, you'll see it in relation to the sign. Great. Okay. So it's just a missing board or somewhere of these or footing. Yeah.
It's in the fin. Sure. We can use it. There. Oh, right there. That'll get fixed too.
Oh, everyone will be able to go get those.
Do you have my number? Yeah. Sure.
That's it for me.
That's it, okay. Bill, you got anything? We can't hear you, Bill. And we still can't hear you, I'm not sure what's going on.
The systems are reflecting.
No. Okay, sorry, Bill, hopefully we get that straightened out for next time. Trevor?
I've got nothing to add, other than just want to say thanks, Beth, for taking the photos of that plant. I had no idea those existed out here. So now I'm on the hunt for that.
I didn't either.
Crazy.
It's nice to see you all green things that eat for healthy. Joe, or sorry, anything else, Trevor? No, good. Hey, Joan?
Well, nothing really to add, just to say that the Beaver Boardwalk has been overly busy every evening. Every time I try to go for a walk, it's usually very packed. But I'm very happy to see that many tourists and locals are continuing to utilize the Beaver Boardwalk.
Cool, thanks, Joan. For myself, I don't have anything to add on top of what anybody else has said, so. That will bring us to next meeting date, Thursday, September 14th, 2023 at 6:30. Any comments or discussion? Okay, and there's just one last order of business, if somebody wanted to make a motion to adjourn.
Is that better?
Ben, we could get his roundtable.
We can hear you now, Bill. Did you want to do your round?
I can hear you now. I'm hearing little bits and pieces of everything. So, but, I'll go over the minutes and, everything so far so good.
Did you want to add anything?
I'm good right now. Like I said, I'm hearing bits and pieces, so I'll go over the minutes and we'll go through this another day.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we have a motion to adjourn from Beth. All those in favor? And we're adjourned. All right, thanks everyone.
Bye, everybody.
If you want, sorry, do you want to add something?
No, I, no,
Sorry.
no.